Hello, everybody. Welcome to The Actuality here on Eric Vulgaris' channel, which is one of my favorite happening places to be on the internet. And we have an exciting game of Invisible Sun today. We are playing with some of my favorite role players of all time. Of all time! Sorry, here, where we will experience joy and, say it everybody, despair! Like a choir of angels, our voices came together. So my name is Grant Ellis.
To bring us together.
You might know me from around the internet. I'm an independent content creator for tabletop role-playing games by night and an executive at a boring company by day. But I am all about the Invisible Sun right now, of which this game is going to be. Invisible Sun is a game of surreal fantasy and magic and secrets where we play powerful magic users known as Vislae, who exist in reality, which is the actuality. And reality is a combination of truth and lies coming together in a dreamlike state. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go around and introduce all of our players for today's game, who they are, and if they could state their character sentence for their character for Invisible Sun. And then we will begin the first session, which is a world-building character creation session. So let's begin with Mr. Eric Vulgaris.
Hey, thank you, Grant. Hi, everybody. Welcome. I'm Eric. I'm he or they pronouns. Eric Vulgaris on the internet spaces. And today, for Invisible Sun, I'm playing Kissura. And Kissura has she, her pronouns. And she's an empathic achiever of the Order of Makers who revels in beauty.
And Josh, Pro Starter.
Hey, yeah, Pro here. As you can see by the name, it's glad to be here. I am playing Fantacklien Visizore. They, them pronouns, and they are a bizarre empath of the Order of Weavers who warps time and space.
And they will also be guest starring on next week's WebDM show. So they have to go see a friend about having some coffee. And beneath Josh on the screen is Burlingsbeard, Mr. Ken Breeze. How's it going, my dude?
Oh, I'm doing so fucking good. I'm so happy to be here with you guys. Thank you so much, Grant. Thank you so much, Eric, for putting this on. This Visible Sun, I've been waiting for it. I know we all have. So I'm so glad that I'm finally able to sort of get into this with you guys. My character's name, I'm he, him, by the way. My character's name is Gnarla. And Gnarla is they, them. Gnarla is sort of this iconoclastic fireheart apostate. They very much, their forte is writhing and squirming. So that's sort of my character's vibe for sure. Gnarla is very heavily tilted towards that sort of iconoclastic side. And as we get into it, I'm very much interested to learn about which sort of organization Gnarla is really against. I don't know that yet, and I'm excited to find that out.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Find in opposition to an organization.
And to the left of Ken on the screen is my main man, one of my favorite indie game designers, the designer of Feast, and my co-star on the Owl of Lycia, everybody's favorite character, both in character and out of character, Mr. Sharang Biswas. How's it going?
Hi, I'm Sharang Biswas, and I am playing Ratch, which is not his real name because he's kind of paranoid about it. And he goes by he, and I go by he, him pronouns. And Ratch is an eremitic stoic of the Order of Weavers who disgorges creatures. He just vomits a lot.
Super gross.
He's also very sickly, so he might just be vomiting. It could be a creature, but you'll find out after the vomit is done, I guess.
Oh, that is a mystery that I'm so eager to find out about.
To the to the left of Shifrong on the screen is our glowing pale Vislae at the moment. Grant 2.0, as Marcy Vallon and myself describe him. Colin is Grant 2.0. Like, I was a jiu-jitsu champion. Colin could probably beat me up. I think I'm pretty smart. Colin is smarter, which is why I had him solve all those mysteries for me. Colin, how you doing, and who are you playing?
Hi, I'm Colin Volcanet. I'm one half of the Phantom Roll Booth. Preferred pronouns are he, him, and I am playing Farrington the Barthesian. Pronouns they, them. I am an Aromatic Stoic of the Order of the Vans who walks the path of the suns.
Interesting. And now we're going to start to learn a little bit more about Farrington. So the first session of Invisible Sun, we start defining the neighborhood that our characters live in. And they don't all need to live in the same pronoun. Sorry, I said pronouns. This because I read pronouns. They don't need to live in the same pronouns. They don't all need to live in the same neighborhood in Fartown, which is where the Vislae live. It's sort of a pocket dimension that's been placed inside the city of Saturine, the city of Notions. And in Fartown, it is always autumn. The air is crisp and breezy. And that is where it's going to begin. Now, also, I want to draw all of our viewers' attention to the screen. I'm going to show you something called the Sooth Deck. The Sooth Deck is a deck of divinatory cards that will impact gameplay. It won't come into effect during this session, but it will come into effect in future sessions where we play these divinatory cards. For example, this card, the Looming Shade. And within the Looming Shade, we can perform a card reading, and it would impact the game mechanics, so on and so forth. So that's something I want you to be aware of. If you ever see us play a Sooth card, it means that the effects of magic are changing within the game. Now, going back to Saturine in the City of Notions, the Gleaming City, in the realm of Fartown, a pocket dimension where the Vislae live, these powerful magic users of which our player characters portray, we are going to start examining Farrington. So Farrington, tell me a little about yourself. When you lived in Shadow, and for our audience, Shadow is the world we live in now where we work mundane jobs, we watch TV, we watch Twitch streams, we have bosses, we figure we were born here. All of this is a lie. All of this is fake. When you lived in Shadow, what did you do?
There are sort of two parts to Farrington's life in Shadow. There was when he was a young man and he signed with the Marines and used that as an opportunity to travel the world. And then there was after, when he got kicked out of the Marines and lived in Japan as a male escort. So there are like two halves to his life.
Interesting. And what skill from Shadow have you brought back with you, either as a Marine or as a male escort living in the Japanese islands?
The one continuity that Farrington had in both parts of his life was a real deep love of literature and poetry. So he has a pretty in-depth knowledge of both of those things that he's carried over. Just sort of the aesthetics of formal poetry, the various modalities of writing them and assimilating them.
Got it. And you brought back a Shadow memento with you, something from Shadow that you keep on your person or wherever you hang your hat at night. What would that be?
Thank you, Marcy. Stop. It was, oh my God, Marcy. The Shadow memento was a 1960s Underwood typewriter that was a gift to him from one of the few men he was with as an escort, for whom it was not just transactional. So there was some emotional complication there, and that was a complication that he wanted to bring with him into the actuality. So he brought this antique typewriter that he'd been gifted.
Being a Vislae means that you are a unique, odd, and special creature that exists in the actuality. And that means you have a quirk. And I assure you, many people have tried to describe the quirks of a Vislae, but they've always come up short. They're actually much stranger and more bizarre should you actually encounter one. What is the quirk of Farrington? And some examples for the audience might be, it may be that all food he touches turns to the color blue, or when he cries, his tears are in the shape of keys. If he cracks an egg, it always has 2 yolks in it. This is just a quirk that always impacts his character.
He not only doesn't, but well, actually, now we're talking about Vislae, so it's now they, them. They not only don't, but can't blink.
Ooh.
Just a simple and slightly unnerving thing to have when you're talking to them.
Like Michael Caine on camera. So he never blinks on camera. And all right. So now describe your house to me. The house Farrington lives in, if you have one. If you don't have one, describe where you hang your hat.
I do have one. And of course, now Marcy is no longer poking me with the Testament of the Sun. If you've seen the Testament of the Sun that comes with the cube, that is what his house looks like. He shared it with his Vislae mentor / lover, called themselves Merlin. And yep, there it is. So this is what his house looks like. It's just a tower, and like there are windows on each finger.
Does it have 6 fingers?
It does, but it doesn't. Each room has a window looking out over the palm, but he doesn't have all 6 rooms yet. He hasn't found where the rest of the rooms are, because those used to be his mentors, and there's something sort of blocking him from access.
Interesting. Now let's talk about, there are 2 sides to your house, and this is where the other players get to sort of interject and intervene. Let's describe one of Farrington's neighbors, and this is a non-player character, not a player character, the type of individual that lives next to Farrington. So, any ideas that any of the players have?
Yeah, totally. I think one of the neighbors living next to Farrington is like your sort of stereotypical sort of like neighbor who super walks their dog around all the time. It's this like
neighbor.
Older lady probably, but I mean the dog that she has is more like a 3-headed Cerberus type. I think it's more like a lizard, in fact. It's not actually a dog, right? It has like 3 heads.
Is it a rhinoceros?
Yes, it's a rhinoceros, obviously. Duh. And so,
A short-haired one.
I love that.
Exactly. And so her hair is like, instead of like a beehive haircut, she actually just has a beehive on her head.
With bees?
With bees.
Beehive's hairdo. And that walks the rhinoceros, short-haired. And
Yes.
Tell me about, what is this individual's name?
I think Pro knows the name better than I do. I'm just gonna call him out. I'm just gonna call him straight the fuck out.
Yeah. I think this old lady is called
Whatever pops into your head.
I think she goes by Lady Obtuse.
Yeah.
The Lady Obtuse. Old Lady Obtuse.
That's a really cute name.
Hey-oh.
I shouldn't find that as funny as I do. But I do. All right. The Lady Obtuse.
The Lady Obtuse.
She goes by
that's
Obtuse.
fine.
Yeah, the Lady Obtuse with her rhinoceros and her beehive hairdo. Is there anything outside of her dog about her temperament? What is her kind of sociality that she shares with Farrington? The way that she interacts.
Helping you all would answer this question, I will note that my character is something of a hermit. Eremitic means I do not get out much.
She's super curious. She's always tried to spy into all the windows of the house, like one of those nosy neighbors. She, in fact, sends her bees out to collect information, and they come down and dance in front of her to try and give her this information.
Yes.
Even she hasn't been able to get to the last room for some reason.
The bees.
I love that.
The bees.
That's great.
I think there's something unusual about these bees too. I think the bees don't fly through normal bumbling. I almost think they fly in bee bubbles, like little bubbles form around them, and when the bubbles pop, it plays musical notes. In fact, they pop to the melody of Flight of the Valkyries. Yes, I don't know. It got a little weird. I like that. Bee bubbles.
Bubblebee instead of bumblebee. Oh.
There you go. Bumblebees. I love it.
Bumblebees. We
Yeah.
got the bumblebee hairdo.
Now it's coming
It's
together.
like a Pokemon power. Bumblebees.
Bumblebee. I
Definitely
choose
does
you,
sound like
bumblebees.
So now that you've said that, you've
You just get rid of straight away.
All right. I think overall, the fact that this is a nosy neighbor, whose name is Obtuse, who's always trying to spy, here's the deciding factor. What is Farrington's mood and attitude towards the Lady Obtuse always trying to spy on him? Do they like it or do they dislike it?
So Farrington doesn't tend to think in terms like and dislike because he's a very sort of emotionally repressed person. So he contextualizes it as convenient or inconvenient, and she is inconvenient to him.
I was about to say,
Yeah.
you're great at improv where I want a yes answer. Instead, it's like, no, I don't use operational definitions, Grant Ellis. I'm going to make this hard for you. No, you gave me the answer, though. So this ends on what I'm going to call a downer note, which means we get a point towards negative on the spectrum. And reminder, if you get a point of despair, that's not a bad thing. You need to experience despair in order to advance your character. So despair is a good thing in this game. And who lives on the other side of the Testament Tower? Sharang.
I think it should be the ghost of his mentor's first crush. Not the person who was the crush, but the feeling of the crush.
Oh,
Like the ghost of that emotion. Because the first crush wins.
man.
The first crush, right?
That's
That's so powerful. The first
that's-
crush is always so powerful that when it died, it had a ghost.
That's
Not
some serious feels right there.
that is I am already dealing with like the empty room of my lover that I can't access to get closure to, and now I've also got the neighbor of his first. Oh, I love it. Just emotionally devastate me, please.
Literally, because he is it is an emotion and it might devastate you.
But your relationship must be so awesome. You guys get to talk about your lover. You guys get to reminisce. And sort of have this very strong connection with this person that you both love so much.
Yeah, I think there is something convenient about having knowing at least the feeling that my lover was into and like being able to put myself in
The
some
ghost
kind of
of-
context next to that. It's
Here's
like
my
that's
question for
a
you.
convenient way to
And learn more about them through that. But I love that you keep underlining, Sharang, that's a ghost, which means that this feeling died.
Yeah.
At one
Yeah.
point died and it is dead, but it has come back as an undead creature.
It's haunting.
Yeah.
It's haunting.
The question is,
it's very interesting.
I have now determined in many of my games I will include undead feelings. Thank you.
does this ghost still have to pay rent?
Well, that was my question. Do they live in
Does
a
it have a
building?
job?
Do they live in an empty lot? Do they live? Most ghost jobs are to watch the houses of Vislae that go into shadow.
Well,
It's an
that's
actual
most
job.
ghosts, and we don't like to stereotype our ghosts.
Is
We
it
do
just
here.
like
They
a
actually
ghost
box it
version
in.
of my house? Like it's just the same
is there a
thing, but slightly
ghost?
translucent.
There's a
know, I
ghost
think it'd be
Testament of
great.
Suns next to the Testament of Suns. Oh no!
I think
But
it'd
like
be
a mini, smaller, like mini version because it was
like
when
a
he was
doghouse version.
Yeah, he was a lot younger when he had his first crush.
I think
Yeah.
it's a birdhouse version. Like
I love that. Oh, do bees live in it? Is it a beehive?
Oh, that's kind of interesting.
that'd be creepy.
But they're
maybe,
not bumblebees.
tie that in.
maybe it's
Yeah, never mind.
maybe it is an abandoned vineyard. Like
Ooh,
it's just
I love
all
that.
these all these great.
His
I love
first
that.
crush was a wine expert.
Oh yes, a sommelier.
Well, yeah.
I mean, that's why the house is also a vineyard.
Yep.
I love it.
I dig it. I dig
So,
it.
so his first crush when he was who knows how old, 12, 11,
Farrington, how old
was
was-
a sommelier. That makes perfect sense. I like
So
it. Go with that.
is this the ghost of my mentor's first love or Farrington's?
The
Your
ghost
mentor.
of your mentor's feeling of first crush.
Got it. So this is probably an operative time to mention that my mentor always claimed to be Merlin.
Yeah.
Like
Oh,
Merlin.
so that
Ju-
was Nimue? Whoa.
so his first love bears a resemblance to like a young Morgana Le Fay.
Oh yeah.
Very nice.
That's good stuff.
And does the feeling also bear a resemblance to the
Yeah.
first one?
Indeed. Indubitably. All right. So, I don't know, there's something about the dead feeling of a first crush living in an abandoned vineyard and looking like Morgana Le Fay. This is a negative. This is like
Yeah.
that's not bad, but it's just kind of like
It started up here, and I think the longer we talked about it,
we can bury any feeling. All right. So, those are some neighbors. Let's talk about some points of interest. Pro starter, what's a place nearby this? I'm calling it the Testament Towers for right now. It's
I like
just-
that.
Yeah. And it's next to another one, the Testes for short. So
Love it.
what is a place nearby of interest that Vislae or people that live in Fartown might go to?
Okay. So I think there is an old park. So like a playground. And I think in this playground, some people see the ghost of their innocence, like when they've lost it completely, and it retires to this playground. So like the loss of wonder or just excitement, or like creativity just as a child,
When
they
you- yeah.
see this.
So here's my question. You said some people. Then my question is, what people? How do we know?
I think they're physical. So I think the ones who are very like lethargic or just like down with life, or have some kind of overwhelming despair. And I think there you go. And I think if you start seeing like it there, like I think the person knows it's connected to them instantly.
That seems like a really good way to tell if you've hit rock bottom, sort of.
Yes.
Right? Like you go to this park if you suspect that you're like as far down as you can go, and if you see this sort of emblem, this anthropomorphic representation of your lost innocence, then you're like, okay, at least I know now. It doesn't get worse than this.
It's like carrying around a
it's a
breathalyzer
relief.
with you. It's a despairalizer. If you can see the ghost of your innocence, you know whether or not you've hit rock bottom. So it's like, we got to go to the park. I don't know if I can sink any deeper tonight.
Is it irreversible? Or do like these anthropomorphic like innocence?
Yeah, so like
they
I don't think
disappear?
it like I don't think it's lost forever. Like I think they appear as children, but I think you can always regain your wonder. You can always regain your joy in life. But I think seeing it, most people never reclaim it because seeing it physically can often lock it into reality.
Yeah.
That's
a
awesome.
portrait of
Maybe-
Dorian Gray.
Maybe in the neighborhood, there's another location which is an ice cream parlor where you can rediscover your wonder, though. Maybe they decided like, oh yeah, there's this park here that everyone gets really sad at, so let's open this business nearby.
Yeah, I love
restore
that.
their wonder.
This is a really good tie-in of the second interesting location by this. I like the theme of the place you go to know where you've lost your innocence or your wonderment, but it's also, well, that's a commodity in this city. You can buy more wonderment in the form of delicious ice cream.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And like the flavors of the ice cream are like
Emotion.
and so they don't they don't like just taste,
Exactly.
they like emotion.
It's like
It's someone's because like the currency of Saturnine are these orbs of ideas. So like clearly they're like seasoning their ice cream with these orbs as like a kind of, I don't want to say snake oil because that makes it sound like they're not effective, but it also doesn't sound like medicine. So I don't know what that is.
It's a supplement.
They're infused.
They're infused.
Orb-infused ice cream cones.
Exactly.
Who's
And
the,
you
who runs
can't
this?
ask them for a flavor. They will give you a flavor.
Oh.
Oh, yes. Can't ask them. They give you what you need. And who are the type of people that work there at that ice cream parlor? Describe them to me.
They're bears.
Teenage bears.
They're bears? I
Yeah,
love that.
Teenage bears.
like the animal or
Both. There are two
both.
of them. One of them is this like large hairy guy, and one of them is this teenager who is a literal ursine.
I love that.
Yeah.
Oh,
Maybe they're all werebears?
Yeah, they're they're shapeshifters. They go to the
You
changery.
never see both in the same shape at the same time.
No.
No.
they have to share one shape.
There it is. There it is.
Yes. Who gets what head today? Who gets what torso?
I like that.
And it's like, I want to be all man today. No, don't take my humanity from me. At least give me an arm or a leg.
I did see in the comments Twilight's Falling suggested a name for the shop, Recall, which I think is kind of nice.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah.
The Recall Parlor.
Yeah.
Parlor of Recall. Yeah.
Cleaner parlor recall.
Parlor Recall.
Yeah.
Parlor
Yeah.
recall. Great
Me and the
suggestion.
boys going down
Great
to Parlor
suggestion, Jack.
Recall, and we're gonna talk to the two bears and see what they give us today.
I'm
don't
way
want-
into
Are they-
werebears right now, y'all.
Yeah,
werebears
is it-
I'm way into.
I also
I have an addition. Is it like the polar parlor and they're like polar bears?
Yes.
So I don't like the idea of them being like, we are all knowing, here is the feeling you need. They just like look at you like, we think you need this feeling. Here you go.
That's what
Oh,
it is.
yeah,
It's
no,
like practicing
that's-
medicine. It's like a doctor goes, well, I really don't know, but take some of this.
I just also love the eating your feelings. I love that. And it's ice cream. I just
Literally,
love it. It's so good. That is choice.
It's,
We're
man,
so good, guys, collectively.
I know. We just
They're all
won.
one
We
bag.
just won role playing, guys. Take that, Monty Cook.
Everyone on this stream,
I mean, you're not
is
wrong.
amazing. And we're all winning together, including chat. Thank you all so much for being here.
Thank
And
you, chat. So next, we're going to talk about some local problems, issues, or rumors happening in this area of the neighborhood. Eric, what's something that's occurring in this spot of town? Either a rumor, a local problem, or an issue?
I have a couple that pertain to my own character that I would like to introduce at this point.
Well, this
that
is
cool?
specifically
Like,
with what's happening in this area of town. So whether it
Right.
relates to your character.
How big is Falls?
Firetown?
Well, imagine. Yeah. How big is Fartown?
It's large. It's like a New York borough.
Okay.
It's an entire pocket universe inside
Right.
Sadarine.
Okay. Yeah. So though, here's a problem. There exists a group. I think they're currently unnamed, but they are a syndicate of a group called Flesh Takers, I guess, as far as I can call them. That they like to harvest organs for nefarious purposes, and we don't know why. And they are very secretive about it. And I feel like they are an issue all over in small little cells. I guess probably the best way of putting it.
I like that. Is there anything anyone else wants to add to that, or a second rumor, or problem or issue? That's clearly a local problem.
Yeah, I mentioned before the stream, I have this one issue I want to introduce specifically because it is literally from one of my nightmares that I have recurring. So at random, it's like an issue specific to our neighborhood. In random conversation, when people are talking to one another, their voice will get hijacked by something or someone, and it always says the same thing. It says, "The wolf does not look like the wolf, but it can show you what a wolf can do, how to skin a lamb with your teeth."
That's
I'm into it.
I didn't. Well, thank goodness that didn't give me chills. That's so glad.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
totally did not pee myself. I'm old.
Like
so-
it just inserts itself into your conversation. It says that, and then it's gone. Like there's no one knows why this happens when people talk sometimes.
I love it. I'm totally all about that. So the next thing, let me just double check to see if there's anything else that I missed. We have our neighbors, a little bit about your house, a little bit about your local issues and problems that are going on. I just have to check one thing. You are clearly, at this point, steered in what we're going to call enough negative points to where you are going to be given a point of despair. And you are also, I'd like you to nominate a player who gave an idea that you really, really liked. And
I liked Lady Obtuse, but I think the ghost of the feeling of my mentor / lover's first crush is devastating enough that I'm gonna give that. I like that, Sharang. So.
All right, so Sharang receives what's called a wicked key. So a wicked key is an object of great power. This wicked key can be used to alter reality itself, to overcome barriers and solve problems. They won't solve every problem, but they can solve many. And at any point you use your wicked key, it will go away forever. But an example is, I'll give one of it being used. The players in the other campaign need to meet the gerent, essentially the leader of the local neighborhood. There is a guard at the door and say no one sees them without an appointment at least 3 months in advance. Pulled out their wicked key, stuck it into the doorman, turned it. Doorman disappeared, the key disappeared, and they walked right in to see the boss of the neighborhood. That's how they get business done.
Put in my valuables.
Good call.
And with that, we're going to move to Sharang's character and talk about their part of the neighborhood. So let's Ratch.
So, yeah.
Describe your house to me.
So, Ratch's house is mechanically, it's a unique house. It is a series of floating islands connected by ladders, rope bridges, wooden staircases. And under each island is a bunch of flapping tentacles, and Ratch thinks, most people think that this is the flapping of the tentacles that keep the island aloft. And the house's peculiarity is that I must feed the islands every month. Otherwise, the tentacles will stop flapping.
I love that you just describe flapping, flying tentacles and then go, and the peculiarity is, like, that's not the peculiarity. Just...
Wait till you play with them for a couple months. Hey! So here's my question for you. What did you do in Shadow, and what skill did you obtain by doing this thing in Shadow?
So in Shadow, right after I graduated in botany, I was an assistant researcher at the New York Botanical Garden. And I was very depressed because I was like, my career wasn't going anywhere, and I don't know about clinically depressed, but I was like sad. Career stuff wasn't going anywhere, but the skill he learned from there was gardening.
Got it. Level 2 gardener. And what is your Shadow memento?
So Ratch back in Shadow he didn't think very well of himself. He thought he'd never done anything cool or epic or whatever, but he once got to meet a really famous botano-entomologist who came to the botanical garden to give a lecture, and through just a random draw, Ratch won an anniversary special edition of the map and guide to the botanical gardens, and the scientists signed it for him.
Ooh.
And that reminds him of this is one happy, I met some this hero figure of mine sort of thing.
And what is your quirk that makes your Vislae unique and interesting and weird and bizarre?
So, when Ratch is agitated, things he touched end up coated in a thin sheen of slime, and it's not only where he touched. The object is now coated in a thin sheen of slime, and the slime smells like fish and chips.
I like that slime. I want that into a candle.
So just get Ratch agitated and then make him hold your candle.
I love it. And we've talked about your house a little bit. Let's talk about what neighbors it. And it doesn't necessarily have to be an individual. There's a few other things that could be considered a neighbor. It could be an abandoned lot. It could be a hotel. It could be a hospital. There could be a theater. A food market. There's all sorts of things outside of individuals. But what is the first neighbor of Shrong's house? And anyone can jump in. Let's kick it to I think it's Pro's turn.
Yeah.
Or to nominate someone else. You can either take the potato or chuck it to someone else.
Yeah. No. I think. I think Ratch has a neighbor who lives in a it's this craggy rocky hill, but on this craggy rocky hill is this beautiful glass house.
Ooh.
And inside this glass house is this person who is obsessed with their hair and their beauty, and the clothes that they wear, but anything they wear, and their skin is all see-through glass, and inside is hollow.
Yeah.
So just an outline? If that?
No. It's they're actually a person. They're hands now are made of glass, but inside they're hollow, and everything else outside is beautified.
Do they throw stones? Because I'd love for the person in the glass house to throw stones or be like, in the actuality we do.
Yeah, most likely they throw a lot of insults.
Yeah, they're like the accusers.
Especially at Ratch because of his laughing.
All right. Got that. I think there's enough there. I almost want there to be, even though they're very transparent, no pun intended, there to be some mysteries that we discover about that neighbor in game. The mystery of the glass house and the hollow woman. And the hollow duchess. She's a duchess of some sort. So, Colin, who is Ratch's other neighbor, or what is the other neighboring body? It doesn't have to be a person, it can also be a thing.
It is a colony of... So it's the other neighbor, but they actually live sort of underneath these floating tentacle moats. They are a sentient colony of banana slugs that collectively... They all collectively are a single one, even though they're made out of a bunch of banana slugs.
Like a hive mind?
Yes, a hive of banana slugs.
The worst part is they're not even sentient. It's just we all assume they are.
Or they are sentient enough to be really into opera and have a beautiful singing voice. Yeah. And they call themselves the Desideratum.
Nice.
Yes.
Opera singing banana slugs. I think you have a winner there, Colin.
The Desideratum.
And the reason they live where they do is because those tentacles of Ratchets that hang down, they drip sort of when Ratch feeds them. There's drippings, and that's what sustains the Desideratum.
I want them to live in the most elaborate opera house down there, or at least have one. And I kind of want it all miniaturized, and people have to gather around and watch the nightly performance with little binoculars, and they have to zoom in and see the tiny.
So can that be my negative one? Because Ratch is kind of a private person and a little bit paranoid, and so he does not like that these. He doesn't have a problem with the slugs. He has a problem with the slugs being popular, that everyone wants to gaze at them and listen to them, and that's his house. He's like, what?
Yep. Anyone else, I'm sure, would love these beautiful operatic slugs.
No,
but
I think a banana slug infestation beneath your house is always negative, regardless of how of their repertoire.
How much they like Pavarotti.
Yes. Listen
That's cool
here.
Because Ratch likes training and breeding animals and plants, but these banana slugs are more trouble than they're worth.
You don't understand. All right, so let's talk about Gnarla. Why don't you give us a place of interest nearby this Ratch's house?
Near Ratch's home? Yeah, I think a place of interest nearby would be a sort of a plaza that has a fountain in the middle of it. A plaza where many different things happen, but specifically there's a farmer's market that always happens there. And there's also a night market that happens there as well. So it's sort of this place where people come to go to cafes and buy things and see their neighbors and see other people who live sort of in the area. The fountain itself is very storied. It is sort of like this 4-dimensional trapezoid rhombus sort of shape that continues to sort of move around. And so it's storied and in legend because it is part of the legacy, is what people say. It is something that was created by the entity that created the actuality. So it has some sort of weight or gravity to it. It can figure into many different spells. It can be just something that people get sort of this feeling around, whether that be sort of a celestial or divine feeling. That's really up to the person, of course, but it is something that is very much out of the ordinary. Everything's out of the ordinary here, but it's really sort of a landmark.
Well, here's a question. Are there any angels that hang nearby? Because you can almost always find an angel on a street corner.
Yeah, it's probably where angels come to beg for money. Yeah.
I like that. I really like that. Eric, what's another place that might be nearby?
I really love the idea of I need a little bit of crowdsourcing here, but it's a convenience store. But what's unique about the convenience store?
It's inconvenient. No,
yeah,
it's
no, I actually really
upside
love the
down.
idea that it's always whenever you're going, they're literally whenever you go there, regardless of the time of the day.
It's a hot air balloon.
Okay, I was thinking more that it's always like in that it's always those liminal moments of them being open, like they're closing up shop and like counting the till, and so you're always there, and it looks like you're like really inconveniencing them all the time.
That's funny.
I like that a lot.
Yeah.
Always just
So it's
about
an inconvenience store. Yeah.
Inconvenient.
They only ever have off-brand product. Oh yeah, we got some red vines. Those aren't red vines. Well, you hungry, ain't you? And they throw it at you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How does it? How does it
I like
look?
the idea that it's probably called. I think it's called Route 2. Like it's spelled like the street, like Route 2,
Yeah.
but like it's a square root because it's irrational. I don't know, something like along those lines of the name. I'm not. Does somebody have a cool idea for like how that should look, or I'm talking about what I'm trying to get at?
I almost like it
Yeah.
being traditional architecture at that point. It's like,
I think, and you're talking about like a logo almost, right?
Yeah, it's called the Route 2.
I like that a lot, where it's just root, and then it has almost like the two is like a square at the top. That's fun. ROUTE.
I'm sure we're gonna get an artist somewhere who's gonna draw it up for us.
That'd be
this
cool.
is a good time to plug the Patreon, patreon.com/GrantHireEllis. We do pay our artists
Oh, do you have milk? We just
in
ran out.
ramen. Yeah.
No.
Well, we got a cow out back if you got some time. You're going to make me milk it myself? Look, buddy.
Yeah. It's always the same girl who works there all the time too. No matter what time you show up, it's her shift.
Same girl.
It should be
always.
like a really like lazy teenager who's like chewing, like, blowing bubble gum and stuff.
They're always on the noosphere, like just like
the
checking
network
their
of souls. Yeah.
Vislae, Facebook, whatever that is.
But like
It's not the
Yeah.
aesthetic of the game, but yeah, I get the idea.
inconvenience be damned, they have the best little like taquitos and stuff at midnight.
Oh,
yeah, they have
Second
these
best.
snacks. They have these amazing snacks that are made of distilled vengeance, and it tastes so sweet, and is best served cold.
Oh my god. Where have you been all my life, brother? That is so good.
Portland.
That's so good. Yep.
And-
In a foreign
And
land.
because like the ice cream
Vengeance
parlor has like
taquitos.
their own brand of that as well.
That's really good.
I love it.
That's
Let's talk
really
about
good.
some of the local issues, problems, or rumors that we have encountered. Who would like to introduce one?
Me. The plaza is getting overwritten because I think the idea is that they want to build something there. I don't know what it is, but the idea is that people are trying to make it a historical site, but developers don't want that to be the case. You know what I mean?
I love it.
I think
But that is the baseline. How can we make this more weird and interesting?
So Fountain Plaza is right. There's sort of this struggle over history versus development, as it were. And I think probably the weird part would be.
What if?
What
What
if-
if they're trying to? Sorry.
what if they didn't want to like just replace the plaza now, but also in the past? Like they just want to have always had their building there.
They wanted to replace it before the war.
And
Older
so
than
like,
war, they wanted to
this
replace it.
isn't just like, oh, you're gonna like remove something that was already there. It's like, no, they want to it never have been there.
Remove the concept.
Yeah,
Ooh, that's
Yes.
really good.
just take it to its like natural conclusion. Just wipe out the history.
We experienced that in the Wednesday game. They
Yeah.
were going to a street to find a Vislae to give them some answers, No one has any memory of the street. Someone removed it from all memory, all
Memory,
existence.
yep.
Yeah, it's not there. They have it on a map, and it's not on anyone else's map. And they're like, why do we know the street and no one else does? So it's a mystery of the game. I like that.
What's the name of that company?
Borders.
Or what? Yeah, that's fine.
I'm thinking it's like a changery, like a changery.
Oh, like a budget changery, and by budget it's still really expensive, but it's like
yeah.
Redact?
The fetters. Like the fetters. Yeah.
Here you go.
I
Chain
like it.
of budget changeries. Love it.
The change of budget changeries. Let me. Okay, here we go.
Great stuff.
Change. Sorry.
Changeries.
Chain of
budget.
fools.
We do sing along for the rest of the
We
stream.
do.
Well, guys, thanks for coming to my TED Talk.
R.I.P. Aretha.
Let it knock over. All right. So, what is the second issue? Who wants to throw one out there?
I think the second issue is that the banana slugs are growing. Their colony, their hive mind is growing. They're drawing more and more banana slugs to them. So they need a larger opera house. So this needs to get built somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
Probably at the spot of the current one. They'll just have to demolish it and then build a bigger one.
That would impact Ratch's house.
It would.
Yeah.
Wow.
I love that they're buying up
Yeah.
property.
They're
Yeah.
buying up property.
These
They're
are
doing
some
so
very-
well that they're buying out his land.
Yeah.
They have an agent, don't they?
Yes, they do have an agent. Their agent is a raven. And
Yes.
yeah, they're doing
I love
very well
it.
for themselves.
God damn, that's really good.
Raven-headed Elder Bryn agent. I'm down with that. Now, next.
How do you explain this? If no one's ever seen this game before, how are you going to explain this to a stranger being like, yeah, we're dealing... So, last Saturday, we got in a big old fight with some banana slugs over the property next to Farrington.
They wanted a bigger opera house.
They have
So
their-
good.
they
So
have
my
their public
question,
to think of.
my
that's
question for Sharong is, what was an idea you liked, and who said it? And then we have a gift for that individual. I liked
I'm
my
looking
own, Grant. Give me another wicked key.
I'm looking at I'm looking at all my writing. It is important to me that my character looks distinctly South Asian. Okay. Okay, there's that. I like the just about to close convenience store because it's like normal, but also like it's not like weird, like, oh my god, it's a tentacle island, but it's like, I keep coming here and every hour of the day it's about to close. That's kind of weird.
Yeah. Every time you go up to it, they're like about to lock the door, and so you have to be like, I just need one
That's
thing.
good.
So I believe that
I
goes
gotta
to Eric
admit-
Vulgaris.
Yeah, it goes to me. I gotta admit, like, as a player, when it comes to surreal, this is a place where I'm not like the strongest at. My brain doesn't really go there, so I'm drawing heavily on like things that I like. My touchstones here is like Night Vale, like as far as like weird
That's
thing.
good. No, I think that's a good way to go and to think
All
about
right, so yeah, I'm just letting
Something I'll
behind the
give you-
curtain. That's what my brain's doing right
Well,
now.
something I could give you access to in Roll20. We had an issue with players not really. They didn't have like a toolbox of the surreal at their disposal, so I simply gave them a copy of the weird deck from Numenera and said, just play a weird card. It'll give you a weird word, a weird phrase, and an entirely fleshed out weird idea. Play 3 of them, pick one you like, and work it into the game. So if you ever get stuck, we'll give you that tool. And now, moving down the neighborhood, it is now...
The deck, the surreal deck for the game could be used to give us ideas as
Yes,
well.
the Soothe deck for sure. The Soothe deck, it's especially great for NPCs, and it's also great for situations to occur during a narrative. There's a lot there, a whole lot. Moving to Gnarla's neck of the woods. Gnarla.
Gnarla.
Is this all being written down somewhere, by the way?
I'm writing all of it.
It's being recorded.
It's being recorded.
Is there any like meeting minutes going on right now?
Let me say this. After doing this 3 times now, I've learned I need to write down everything.
Yeah.
Some games have the note takers.
Chat, you getting this, chat?
I have to. There's actually a book they give you in the cube called The Guiding Hand to take all these notes down. I'm using a Google Doc, and I will pin these as notes in your group chat after the game, as well as send it to the
Yeah,
Discord.
because otherwise I'm totally going back and listening to this and writing this all down. It's so awesome, but there's a lot, and I just want to make sure I'm keeping up with it. So I appreciate it. Thank you.
Gnarla, what did you do in Shadow?
Yeah, so in Shadow, Gnarla, during the war, when everyone was there and we sort of escaped and we're living our lives there, Gnarla was a hyper-intelligent squid who lived in the ocean. Just like swam around, lived that squid life, experienced what it was like to be sort of this creature. And then Gnarla was captured and experimented on for a while. They continually escaped from their, imprisonment, which seemed to entice the researchers more and more and more. So that's sort of what Gnarla did as in Shadow.
It sounds like your Shadow skill would be the act of escaping. And I don't know if you've ever seen a squid or an octopus escape things.
Yeah.
It terrifies me to death. That's why I'm designing a group of monsters for D&D, like professionally right now, and they're based on octopi and squids. And they're like, so like Mind Flayers is like, no, you have no idea. You've never seen how these things could kill you. And sorry, I have phobias.
It's kind of, I was also inspired by real world squids. So yeah, escaping is definitely the skill. I was thinking that, or swimming, whichever. Escaping makes a lot of sense for me. And then the item that I brought back was the terrarium that I was imprisoned in. I have that in my home.
Wait, you're a squid? You're a squid. What is a you mean an aquarium or a terrarium?
Yeah, like an aquarium, I guess.
Oh, okay.
I was like,
he was a desert squid.
You could be a desert squid.
You can like go on land and in the water.
They got tired of him of escaping, so as his punishment, they laid him out on the sand, and they were like, "Listen here, we're gonna dry him out," and that's when he came back into.
Yeah.
So here's my question, though.
They breathe through their skin. That's why that works. It's so weird.
My question is: do we want it to be escaping, swimming, or obfuscation, like shooting out ink?
I think escaping sounds great to me right now, so we'll just go with that.
Level 2 escape skill. You are better at escaping than the average Vislae.
That's right.
And moving right along, let's start to describe your house. Do you have a house?
I do. So Gnarla, coming back from Shadow, something really weird happened, and Gnarla doesn't have like a body; they're just a head. So they are, if you think of like that movie, Pirates of the Caribbean, the second one with Davy Jones, who has like the crazy like squid face, right? That's Gnarla. Like Gnarla doesn't have a body; they're just a squid head. Like that is how they exist, how they walk around, how they do it.
So do they float around, or do they like head crawls along using its like okay, solid.
Yeah, so really small on the ground, skittering around. Gnarla is like a spy. Like they are like I really took Iconoclast really to heart. Gnarla is an apostate. They are a gallant. They're Fireheart. They're very, very sort of mercurial, but they're very focused on this group that they are opposing. And sort of everything that they do is about opposing this group. So their house is actually like a secret hideout in game. It's a hidden house. It's small, but it is hidden. Gnarla, they don't bring people there often. It's hard to get there. It is on top of an abandoned warehouse. It is like this water tower that is leaning over. It looks like it's sort of abandoned and crushed. And so it's inside this water tower. It's like this sort of safe house, armory. Like Gnarla is like like I said, like a spy. They're on almost like this one person mission, like
Your neighbors
James
are
Bond
the-
style.
yeah.
Like
Shit.
they're all about like thievery, assassination, spying, saboteuring, like all that stuff. They are very much about their hidden life as sort of this like
It's your
real-
neighbors Yakko, Wacko, and Dot Warner, like in the water tower with you. Like,
Exactly.
you just have these little dot-eyed. No,
Exactly. That's
so
exactly
it
right.
sounds like one of your neighbors is like the warehouse, right? Like,
yeah.
and
Yeah, I'd
it's
say that.
abandoned, it's unused.
It's true. I mean, or maybe it's not. I don't know. It's not.
So
super
let's test
used.
the group.
I mean, I
So
don't know about
Colin,
abandoned.
do you think the warehouse is in use at all, or is maybe another group trying to get permits to use it?
It is in use. And Ken mentioned that they were just ahead, so my first thought was like, where's the rest? And I don't think that Gnarla has a great relationship with their body that is trying to carve out their own space in the warehouse above, and like does not like interacting with Gnarla. Is just trying to live its own headless life.
Their body's the warehouse foreman.
Yeah, and
Punching a clock, working a job.
yeah, it's hard to argue with a body without a head that communicates with like sign language, but only when it wants to. So
Plays
I
dumb a
imagine
lot.
that
It like pretends not to be able to see or hear what you're saying.
right. It's just like, oh, I've got no head. Like, oh, this is a miscommunication here. Oh, I forgot to
I
mark
love
that you paid your rent. Oops.
I love that.
That's a tough life. 5 of the 6 senses just gone, just completely
Well,
gone.
It claims they're gone.
Right.
Okay.
They're probably living in a nearby graveyard if I think really hard about it. Pro, what's another neighbor? Pro or Eric? Either of you. Or wrong, anybody can throw out the next neighbor.
Yeah, I love it. Gnarla's body. Gnarla does not want anything to do with their body. Like that's not. They're not interested.
I have an idea. Their neighbor, does it have to be, what are the different concepts for a neighbor? Because I'm going to fill this into something we haven't seen yet.
There's
What can be a neighbor? They can be
it could be a hotel, it could be a police station, it could be a group of vandals. No, wait, not the group of vandals. That's another one. A theater, a group of law enforcers, a very nice restaurant, a very bad restaurant, a food market, a luxury goods shop.
I think it's either
Pawn shop,
it's either
tool
a,
shop.
okay. I'm not sure if this. Okay, hear me out on this. As I'm working through my thoughts here, I don't think it's the building that's super assuming here. It's just the strip of sidewalk there that the weeds that grow between them are just like really rude.
Rude weeds. Rude weedy sidewalk.
Like
We need our botanist friend to
like
talk to
teenage, like Clockwork Orange level, like kid
Ooh,
that just
Yes.
they're just like really mean. Like
sounds like some rude boys to me.
yeah, they just grow in this little like section, and they just keep coming. No, and it's just really annoying.
I like the idea that like they have their like little section, but they can
Level
really like
bad.
they can pop up anywhere that like a
Yes.
weed between
Yes,
the
exactly.
like cobblestones could pop up. Like if a weed could be there, they could be there and they might heckle you.
Oh my god! So obviously, whatever that building is now, it used to be a private school.
Oh, awesome. So like a ruined, abandoned private school because
No, I think it was repurposed after.
repurposed.
It's something else now.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's been forgotten. So it's not like an abandoned lot.
awesome. I love it. Yeah, these sort of like weed.
That's a laundromat.
Yeah,
I don't
A
know.
large
something.
one.
I like
It's a laundromat that
Right.
specializes in ethereal clothes.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, like anything but normal clothes.
You can wash anything ethereal there. It doesn't have to be just clothes.
Ethereal stuff.
Yeah, it's
Yeah, there we go.
it's ethereal laundry. It's an
Yeah.
ethereal launderer.
Yeah.
It's not a launderer for ethereal things.
Yes. Here's
Nice.
my question, though. We've
That's great,
established
Ken.
that. Let's talk about a couple points of interest nearby.
Okay.
Let us.
What you got, Pro?
So we have.
See, interesting place. See.
I have one.
Yeah,
Yeah,
go
go
ahead
for
and throw one out, Sharon.
So nearby there is a like rock formation that's made of crystallized music. And it's like Uluru, like tourists keep coming and breaking pieces off of it to take back. And the local neighborhood is like, no, it's our like landmark. Don't break.
It used to be in D, but it's been chipped off so much now it's in C sharp.
Yeah, there it is.
It's an entire like orchestral piece crystallized. And so these tourists are now taking the habit of mailing these pieces back of like crystal of like music, like an aria or like a mini song or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a tourist trap.
It's a tourist trap, and there's like a local initiative to like pass a law to turn it into like a historical monument type thing as well.
It's called the Magnesium Opus.
There it is.
Yeah,
there it is.
You guys.
At certain, if enough people near it are singing, it glares bright white like magnesium.
What I love is like in your neighborhood, there's like this constant.
Slugs
like,
want it gone.
Slugs want it gone so bad.
There's this
Ooh.
historical preservation society like
Yeah,
feel
yeah.
over town. You guys are like the old town of Fartown compared to like some of the other neighborhoods we've had, which is more like the hippie. It almost feels like more like the transient location where it's like people come and go. It's like almost like the military family nexus where it's like we come and we go and there's a couple small shops that have always been here, but yours is like this Magnesium Opus used to mean something to this town. It wasn't chipped away.
And there's this legacy fountain. I love it.
Yes.
Yeah, legacy.
Yeah, that
fountain,
legacy fountain, that is going to be important to my character, I think.
I'm really interested in the sort of the group that Eric mentioned earlier, the Flesh Takers, and I'm wondering if they figure in to any of this political stuff.
Wait,
That'll probably come into our
maybe something to think about as we
Yeah.
get a little further on.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they are such an sort of invasive idea. Where I mean, in a neighborhood we're talking about with like these historical kind of sites and this like artistic community between the Slugs and the Magnesium Opus, they're like hardcore, like coming in and taking flesh. Like that's.
So it needs to be like very like that's why I'm interested in them, because it's like that shadow war aspect, right? Where it's like spies and very much about espionage and.
Have you reminded of these Flesh Takers? I do not remember them.
Eric mentioned them briefly, just as a group that is out there. I'm picking up on it. Cool.
Yeah. I have nothing really defined. Just
we can
small independent operating cells of things that harvest organs.
That's
all I got.
That's a good start.
All right. So we have our music notation, and we need one other point of interest. We don't actually need another point. I always like to do two. The warehouse is kind of.
Let's just do the headquarters for the Historical Preservation Society.
I love that.
Yeah, let's just make that a thing. Yeah.
And can that be like really normal?
Yes.
Like that's not true. That's like just like a building with lots of like historian Vislae in it.
There's nothing there's nothing remarkable about it. It is like just completely.
It's not even Vislae that live there. It's thought forms that have been summoned to like carry this out. Like these are thought forms for our audience members that aren't aware. These are conjured spiritual beings that they're there to perform a task, and their task is we've got to preserve the history. They're like every government employee. No, I'm sorry. It's just
and maybe
protocol.
it's a partnership between the Order of Vance and the Order of Goetica, and they both fund this historical
joint
society.
venture.
Can they also like do like
love-
mini tours?
Yeah,
Like
I would.
Yeah, they totally do tours.
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
I would absolutely love it if. I mean, this is just a dumb detail, but I really want to commit hard to this because it means to me a lot as a player if it's a brutalist architecture form of the building. Very important.
Sounds just fine.
When I lived in Boston, one of the government houses up there is brutalist, and it is a garbage building. It looks terrible. I love it so much. It is the most awful, brutalist. Oh, anyone in chat who's ever been to Boston and can commiserate with me, please do, because it's so charmingly terrible.
Sounds good.
So
And
let's,
yeah.
I was going to say, going right along with this, let's get a couple more either local problems, issues, or rumors.
There's a rumor that the angular serpent has infested the historical society, and what they're actually doing is rewriting history, not preserving it.
I like that.
Nice.
Yeah.
One of the more serious rumors out of all of us.
Oh, that's good.
Playing off this historical society, we have the magnesium opus, which someone made it. Someone wrote those arias and the great symphonies contained therein. And there's a rumor that they were not dead, right? That we thought that like this was the last thing that they ever made, but like some people are saying they're back from a shadow and that they were never actually dead. So they may be able to make a new or fix the magnesium opus.
Yeah, I like the idea that magnesium opus is kind of like crumbling.
Yeah, I like it too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, there's like a missing piece to like this notation.
Yeah, probably a few pieces. Like, and teenagers hang out there and like spray paint things on it and like make out stuff like that. I don't know.
And in addition to like the tourists snatching away a few errant notes.
Yeah.
So I like it. There's this like search for the creator of it.
So what I've done is, now that I've added this up, I've been adding the negative and positive, and I actually forgot to give Sharong a point of despair. From his. Ken has just earned himself a point of despair as well. Overall, it was very close. He was almost pure neutral, and there would be no wicked key. Ken, I'd like you to award someone a wicked key.
Yeah, I'd really like to award Colin the wicked key. I really like the Gnarla's body being in the warehouse, as well as the magnesium.
I'll be totally honest.
They're really good. Yeah.
All right, thank you. I'll be totally honest. I was thinking of like Futurama, like Nixon and the head from like Yeah, I love it. Yeah. What is it? The body of Spiro Agnew, right? Mm-hmm.
So now,
U.S. politics for everybody. Look, historical politics.
We will move to Fantacklien. Fantacklien. Our Weaver friend. Let's talk about what you did in Shadow, what your life in Shadow was like.
Yeah, so
I know you sent me a write-up, but
I did, yeah. So Fantacklien isn't his like it's not his like real name. He uses that in the actuality. But he was just working a very boring, like it's kind of like a call center, not very fun. There's like boring hours, drab scenery. The only thing you could really hear was the chattering and the ringing of phones and just the ticking of clocks, going away, wishing to go home. But when he wasn't, basically at work, he was doing art and painting and drawing and sculpting, and that was his freedom. But he got to a point where he couldn't take it anymore, because he felt that there was more to him, there was more to identity and freedom, and he couldn't take it. And the point where he was about to do something drastic was the moment where he woke up.
I would like to suggest, unless you've chosen something else, that you have fine art skills as kind of a level 2 skill.
I did choose painting as a
painting works
skill.
I wanted to make it even almost just a little more where it's fine arts. I've worked with a lot of professional painters that are also pretty good at many other arts. They're not necessarily masters, but once they've studied anatomy, they really know how to, like, say, sculpt because they understand anatomy. Also, they're able to pre-visualize. So I think we're going to expand it out into we're going to painting and other fine arts that you might explore.
It's very open of that. So.
Yeah. And what is your memento from the shadow that you have brought over?
Well, now that they're in the actuality, they go by they instead of him. And they have a hand mirror, but it's broken. It's perpetually shattered.
Oh. Broken hand.
Oh.
Broken hand mirror. And let's talk about your house. Do you have one?
I do, yes. It's very bizarre. So they live on like this walkway where there's this like large wall, and pressed up against this wall is this 6-foot grandfather clock. Just this normal like nondescript grandfather clock. You can't hear it ticking anymore. It doesn't tick, but the dial moves. And it is perpetually stuck at 2 minutes to midnight.
Nice.
Well, that's not ominous.
It reminds me of that doomsday clock about nuclear war. It makes me think of that.
Yeah, exactly, right? Definitely doomsday clock. Yeah, totally.
So, and that's when the Historical Society and the Banana Slugs will join forces to... So it's by this sort of walkway, and it's sort of in this somewhat nondescript location. Where does the walkway go to? So I assume there's kind of an anchor at the beginning and the end. What are these
it's just like this like in this it's like street roads over like buildings and like people live, but just in this like this path there's like along the sidewalk, it's just this grandfather clock stuck.
I get that, and now we're going to expand to the neighborhood, and these would actually be your neighbors. So if we go down the sidewalk, what's at the far end of it? And I'd like another player to describe what's down there. Who or what? Eric?
I will. You get into my neighborhood. It's near a big body of water, a lake of some kind. I haven't given a name for this part of the neighborhood, but you said this place is like eternally fall. Right?
Always autumn.
Or like it's always autumn. Well, this is like the shitty part of autumn. Like when it gets close to December where it rains and it's really cold. It's like that part where it's like not cold enough for snow in the winter part, but it's still the fall. And so it's like it's always kind of run down. It's just not. It's like the not nicer part of the town. If we're cool with that. And so they're kind of like near the lake. I don't know any more than that. I imagine it looks kind of like whatever Cleveland's shipping would look like. It would probably look like that, like whatever sad Great Lakes once great shipping kind of industrial area is now a lake.
It's a lake that's been ruined by the war.
Yeah. That's even better. Thank you. See, I'm just gonna keep word vomiting until you take that vomit and make it look pretty.
I'll just actually.
That's great.
Don't worry.
Thank you for
This is the collaborative process, Eric. We're doing it.
Yeah, I'm gonna call it the veterans pond. It's larger. It's like a greater
that's so
lake.
good. That's so good. I love it.
What if the pond is frozen in the last moment that it actually existed? So it looks like just water that's been like stopped, and you can walk on it. It's like a park.
Kids skate there. You know.
Yeah.
And like people stones off the solid water.
Yeah. I mean, and it fits like maybe the Historical Society managed to like find the last moment that this lake pond existed and like preserve it, and like it doesn't exist anymore, but there it is.
There it is.
I love that. Right.
Can you see what's in it, or is it opaque?
Yeah. Oh no, you can see down.
I don't think they managed to save anything living in the pond, though.
No.
It's always This is the part of town. It's always cloudy. Like it's always like light gray overcast. Yep. It's just like never.
And I think
There's
that
like
it just rained That feeling of that it just rained and it's really cold in the fall. You know what I'm talking about? Everyone knows what I'm talking about.
I
That
know
cold
exactly what you're talking
yeah,
about.
you're like that thing. That is this neighborhood at the end of this walkway.
That gives me an idea for a rumor about it. Is that people say like they report sometimes seeing something down in the lake, like some object, some light, some shadow. Yeah, that like that shouldn't be there. That's not what was there.
Merlin.
Way to make it negative. There we go.
No, lady in the lake from Merlin.
No, I mean it could be positive. Could be pretty. We're gonna be a bunch of sad boys. Oh no!
This
it.
is the saddest. I'm renaming the show "The Saddest Stories of Fartown." It's going to be about the death of a Vislae city. That's what it's going to be.
The mean,
Yeah, it kind of is.
The mean
And
streets of Fartown.
I am
You
like
called
super
it.
into it.
You
I
called it
have
star-crossed
another idea.
and midnight.
I'd like to know what's on the other side of the
It
sidewalk.
feels very sort of like, like neighborhoody, but it feels like there's a very sort of troubling undertone.
Melancholy. Yeah.
Melancholy is the good
So
word.
good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Sharon.
I have a neighbor idea.
Oh.
Yes, that's what I'd like.
It's a lady. It's an old. Some people think she's homeless. They don't know where she lives, but she always walks around this grandfather clock area. Her name is Grandma Jaw, and she has no lower jaw. But she's always smiling with the upper part of her mouth that's there. And she has this long coat, and she's always to people. So if she opens up her coat, it's lined with like different sizes and shapes of teeth. From different creatures, and she's always trying to sell them. And she has like a flappy tongue that's just flappy, and she speaks with it badly. And she's always trying to sell teeth.
How do the locals treat her?
So many people consider her like a homeless nuisance.
Okay,
But
that answers it.
but it's rude. But it's said like, hey, maybe some people actually trade with her because otherwise, why is she always there?
It's like I used to live in Oakland, and I lived outside of DC, and I lived outside of Norfolk, Virginia. But like, I was cool with all the homeless people. Like, same with Richmond, Virginia. It was just one of those things where we were pals. But if a lot of people see her as a nuisance, how does Fantacklien, I think I got that right. View her. Grandma Jaw.
I'm very like bizarre. That's like part of the phrase I have. So my house is bizarre, and people see me as bizarre.
You're her son. No.
Mama. And I literally just had like walk into a grandfather clock and walk out of it. So I think she's just the right kind of bizarre for me, right?
Have you bought any teeth from her though?
Most likely, like for artwork, right?
Just the vampire.
Just vampire, yeah.
Do you have any basilisk teeth? Thank you.
But yeah, like I think because like I don't have any connections and people see me as bizarre and they keep away. I think that's the kind of weird that he would like.
Maybe you like get along with her and you like nod at each other pleasantly on the street. Kind of.
I get you.
It might be that some people say that she has some really exotic things as well, but like no one's seen them or heard of them, and she doesn't talk about them. Like
no
exotic teeth, like special, super special.
You have to know just the right words to say in order to find out. And if you tear open your black cube and set it on fire, the words will appear. Those of you that own a copy of the game. For those of you that follow my Twitter and my Discord, I may have torn some things apart and found some secrets.
You definitely found some secrets.
I need to find more secrets. I'm so bad at finding any of them.
I'll message you after
I've got a Google Doc that I've been compiling, so I'll probably post that.
Thanks, because I'm going to DM soon. I need to know secrets.
Oh, I'm not very far. I'm just like scrupulously writing down everything I think is a piece of a datum in this.
I'll send you some hookups, Sharong. I've spent a lot of time, probably more than I should. What is a point of interest near here, maybe a little further out, beyond Veterans Pond, as you get towards Eric's neighborhood? Maybe not quite as far out as that. There's a point of interest. What is it?
I think there has to be like a sort of one of those little neighborhood handy shops that doesn't have like any really specific stock. It's just a little bit of everything. And it is a store called Summer Gal Octoberman. And it is run by a couple who share half a body. So like one half of their body is Summer Gal and the other half is Octoberman. And together they run this shop.
Can they be a maker, which is why they sell all these knickknacks?
Oh
They
yeah.
belong to the Rare Makers. I was almost going to say, it's called Handy Randy's, and Marcy Vallon works there. Their little hand that she pokes people with. I like that. There's
Is that a
group of
neighbor
makers
or
that live there.
interest?
This is a point of interest. It's a store, and maybe they also sell. It might be they sell objects of power there. They might sell ephemera there.
They're very
They
famous.
probably live upstairs, you know.
It could be
It's-
that they sell them like under the counter. Like it's more of like you have to be in the know to get those objects.
They probably sell good things under the know, but I'm going to be perfectly frank with you. In the fiction, you can go buy an object of power from a store.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I don't know.
But it might be. There's the over-the-counter objects of power, and there's the back room.
Or maybe they sell things from the shadow there.
Ooh, I like that too.
Ooh.
You know, that's the under the counter stuff. Is like here are some items.
Yeah,
From the
Come
grave,
over.
yeah.
a television set that actually picks up a broadcast.
Yeah, exactly. Like just weird shit from the shadow.
Maybe so. There's some people say that they trade with Grandma Jaw because they're makers.
Ooh, that is interesting.
Turns out Grandma Jaja is just a something they made, and they see through her eyes, and they're operating her.
Yeah, maybe.
Who runs
Or she's-
Bartertown?
Yes,
Grandma Jaja.
I love it. What's another point of interest?
A graveyard.
Graveyard, like it.
Yeah, a graveyard.
Graveyard of
See a
the.
graveyard that has a malfunctioning spell, so it's impossible to speak inside it.
Ooh.
Graveyard
You have to
of-
do everything
yes.
with visual presentations.
That doesn't sound like a malfunctioning spell. That sounds like someone who 100% wanted like some respect and quiet for the dead.
Yes.
A silent
I agree.
graveyard, yeah.
That sounds
Also
like a
remember-
historical society thing.
Probably.
I'm thinking about the graveyard as instead of a horizontal sort of orientation, of vertical orientation. Exactly.
Yes, I like that.
Things are stacked on top of each other, so it just grows up and up and up and up instead of out and out and out and out. And so it's like the way that the most people who have died most recently are at the top, or if you're able to pay somehow, you can like get your loved one inserted.
Can it
lower.
look like a Jenga tower?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Like you slot in.
yeah.
it's the
But
raised
not
yard.
everyone likes to be buried. Like some.
No.
But the
Well,
ones who do-
that's the other thing. So you're in the actuality now. When people die, they go to the pale. They go to a different place.
And they can
However,
come
not
back.
everyone does, and some people stay. In fact, ghosts hang around. I also think there might be some of these like adjacent ancillary businesses that kind of hang off the graveyard, where there's like the 1-800 dial a ghost, where there's like a little shack, because people need ghosts and to put them to work for various things from time to time. It's just kind of like there's a guy there he's he outsources. He's like the temp agency for ghosts. It's like, look, I don't feel like summoning
love
nothing.
It. So it's actually like a ghost condos is what we're actually talking about right now.
That's great.
So it's like this totally compact, like huge sort of,
That's great. I love it.
It's-
repository where all these ghosts live.
So
Can
let's
it
get
be
yeah.
antagonistic to the Pale Embassy? Like
Yeah.
the Pale Embassy does not like that this thing is here, and they're always like fighting.
Yes, and especially because it's like this is like they also always promote ghost and thought form rights. Like it's like, look, better they work here where they live their lives than go off to some pale place. Well, they're just gonna be peaceful forever. That sounds like re-education.
Sounds like a quitter to me.
Sounds like
How clean is this place?
I don't think they care, so it's dirty. Like ghosts don't care.
Well,
It's dirty.
Cool. Then I have an extra little tidbit then. If
All
that's
right.
ever, if it's all of the trash, like all of the old soda bottles and stuff that lay around here, they're all winners of expired competitions.
Yeah.
Winners of I love that. That's gonna cut. I'm gonna work that into the games. It's like always a winner, always a winner. Let's talk about some of the local problems, issues, and rumors that we might find in this part of town. Let's throw out an idea.
Before you do that, I just wanted to say, did we do one or two neighbors?
I have two neighbors. So there's a pond in Grandma Jaja. A neighbor might be a location, not actually.
Right. Okay, I just wanted to make sure I want to put that down.
So
Yeah.
what is the difference between a location neighbor and a point of interest?
So a point of interest can be used. Here's how I would describe it to me. So there's what we'll call a social connection to a scene, or social connections and physical connections. So your neighbors are physically attached to you. You don't always get to choose those. You might choose what interests you, though. So a point of interest could literally be anything. There could be a prominent figure. The mayor lives there. Your neighbor, they literally are your neighbor. This is the building that's next to me, but this is what I care about.
Okay.
Okay, cool.
Oh, I just had an idea and I completely lost it. Oh, for a rumor, there is a new business opening in the neighborhood that is supposed to be a sort of law office for integrating the various assets of your modalities into your own. If you want to formalize a relationship with your modality, your own modality, then they're supposedly going to be the ones to handle it. So they also do like research into finding other modalities of you.
Advanced rules don't want it. No, I'm just kidding. It's the law office of modalities.
Yep.
That's fun.
I like
The
that.
law office.
And it's a new one, right? It's
just they've rented out the space, but they haven't moved in yet. People are curious to see what that's going to be like.
Yeah.
They called modalates.
They serve lattes there.
And
Moe's,
Modalates.
it's like
Most lattes. You drink your modality. Modalates. I like it.
Wait, is that a rumor or is that actually existing?
It's
That's a point of interest, right?
no. This is actually a local issue. So a
Oh,
new business is opening, and there is a lot of hype surrounding this in the immediate area, and it may be that some of the people here in Old Town, particularly the Historical Society, don't like codified law much in Fartown anyways, because it doesn't really stick with Vislae. And if someone's coming here and enforcing the rule of law, that might rub some of the old timers the wrong way. I can promise you Summer Gal and Octobermen don't like these suits moving into the neighborhood.
no. Yep.
Neither does Grandma Jaja.
I think the slugs are very interested to see if they can leverage this new business in their continuing efforts.
All right. And what is another problem, issue, or rumor?
Can there be like a gate to the night side of one of the suns? Or there's supposedly a tiny gate that is the size of a penny into the night side of the sun.
I love that.
Somewhere in this neighborhood.
Cool.
Taking the back roads through the path of suns.
Is it a physical space or is it an item?
No
I don't
one
think you
knows.
guys
This
know.
rumor
Okay.
exists in here.
Oh, it's insubstantiated.
You've yes.
But people but there's this one detail that everyone knows, and it's the size of a coin.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's real good.
I like that. That's good. It's dope.
And so adding these up real fast. So negative, positive, positive, neutral. Neutral. This is going to end up being a point of joy.
Yay! Finally.
Pro starter. Yeah.
Yeah.
Boy, wow.
No, I'm a happy boy now.
So happy.
He takes it, crumples it up,
happy.
and throws it out.
everybody.
So my next question is, what was an idea that you liked there, Pro Starter, Josh? And you can hand out a gift to a member of the party.
I liked Jar Jar.
Grandma Jaja.
Yeah.
A
Grandma
wicked
Jaja.
key to Ratch.
Do I get a second one? Is that allowed?
100%. 100% allowed. Some players have a whole keychain of wicked keys going around. Yeah.
Tron's game system.
Oh my god, can I vomit out my wicked keys?
I hope you do. Like when there's a
Tron's
barrier,
power
like,
gamer.
Of course.
you can't be here and you're just like, "Ah."
Ratch
Carry
is
wicked
like
keys in my belly.
It rains keys in Fartown, and you might find a wicked key during a key fall in the rain.
I like rain because it's like the
Oh,
sky.
you're not joking.
No, yeah, key balls are a real thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Brought up the picture on the stream. So next, we're moving to Kissura's part of the neighborhood. So let's talk a little bit about Kissura. Kissura's a she/her, correct?
Correct.
And what did Kissura do in Shadow?
Well, she's an artistic polymath. She originally was in a band, but they broke up, and she's looking for a new one. She avoided the war as best she could. She is currently haunted by or tempted. She finds flower petals, like if she moves her hair around and stuff, there's fall out, and there's
That's
always
her
stuff
quirk.
on her. Yeah. So right now, she's kind of looking for work. She's an out-of-work actress as well.
Okay. And here's a question. So would her skill that she brought over from Shadow essentially be kind of like general performance, actress, singer, songwriter?
She's an artistic polymath. I couldn't think of a
Polymath,
cool
yes.
word for it, but she is like a dilettante. Anything
Yeah,
she does artistically she's good at it.
And she focuses on performance things.
Yeah. No. She can also sculpt and paint, and act. She does it all. In fact, it's much to her dismay that she can't ever focus on one thing.
What's with all the macaroni art? It's what I'm feeling today. It's what
Yeah,
I'm
it is.
feeling.
It's very, very much so.
I also
Yeah,
love that
so,
that was Shadow, but
savant.
she's a
Savant's,
maker, right?
artistic savant is. Thank you, Marcy. That is the word. That's better than polymath.
yeah.
That also means that she's never become successful because
Exactly.
because
Exactly.
people want her to focus.
Exactly. I'm
We'll
brimming.
commission you to make an opera, and then she makes a macaroni chain.
I make one act of it, and then I go out and I start doing something else. I just cannot finish anything. It's finished. It gets finished in my head. I'm like, I'm done.
I dig it. I dig it.
Right. So
What's your
so
memento
I,
from
I'm
Shadow?
Size to the reader.
So I totally I live in that cold, damp neighborhood. Basically, just always winter in Vancouver.
Yeah, but my question my question
that's-
is, what is your memento from Shadow that you brought, though?
Ooh.
it has to be physical, right?
Mhm.
It can't be a tattoo.
No,
It's a
his form's gonna
ring.
change too much.
It's
ring.
it's a ring. It's a floral band, and I think it has a heart in it. And I put it on one time with the heart facing me, and now I can't take it off. And I don't know what I did.
Oh, you can't take it off.
I think I was supposed to put it on the other way.
I love that. So now let's talk a little bit about your neighborhood. You're in Winter Vancouver town.
Yeah. I don't know the name of it.
The
Maybe like
Veterans Corridor.
Foggy Bottom is probably fine. I don't know something, but
Bottom?
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's an area in DC.
I know.
Yeah.
That's what I'm totally stealing it from. Yeah.
I
So.
I prefer Foggy Top, but that's
Heyo.
Hey!
I'm gonna call it the Sweats. That's where it's known as. It's
even
the
better.
Oh, that's-
Foggy
okay.
Top and Foggy
All right.
Bottom of the Sweats.
Yeah, there you go.
All right. So
Sweaty
Kissura.
top for sure, or
right.
dewy top, whichever.
So this place has a sense of malaise. It's run down. It's always damp. I live in a place that's called the Broomall Heights. It's a cold, damp condo complex. And it's no one likes it there, but the condo was cheap to buy, so it's mine. I don't have a roommate.
All right.
It's the owners of it. The owners are totally flesh takers. That out of like the main like condo welcome building in the lobby, they totally have stuff down in the basement. And I have absolutely no interest in finding out more about what goes down there. So consequently, I'm never late on any fees or rent.
So here's the.
And then I have one more thing.
Yeah, I was gonna say. Okay, what's your one other thing?
So I do. So not only do I am I never late paying rent, I do my best to ignore a disturbing bronze lupine idol that was left over from the previous owner.
Oh,
that's in my apartment.
it's like me. I used to leave
Just do my best. I have not touched it. It's in the corner, and I don't do anything with it.
I used to always leave like a random Buddha statue everywhere I lived. I'd make sure it'd stay there after I'd go, and like.
Yeah,
I've
exactly.
heard people moved into places after me. They're like, we're afraid to mess with that. It's
that's exactly what it is. There's a weird wolf-like statue. It's a little idol. You know, it's not too big. It's like the size of an action figure.
So
like not a Star Wars one.
And can I just add something here, Eric? I don't know.
Absolutely.
I don't know how if you like it.
Lay on me.
The words that Colin spoke of that people speak. Like maybe those are etched on that statue or something.
100%.
Sure, but I never got close enough to read it.
Ooh.
Yeah, I totally made it wolf-like.
Yeah.
So this whole time I've been thinking about stuff, but I made it wolf-like as soon as Colin mentioned it. So yeah, I'm definitely hearkening there. But I didn't want to be the one to suggest it, so thank you.
So here's where
Someone's
we
getting
go
a wicked
now.
key.
Colin, I want you to tell me who lives directly below Kissura, and Josh, I'd like you to tell me who lives directly above. So he's going to be sandwiched in the middle.
Okay. Person who lives directly below is I am so sorry in advance, Jess. The Moist. He is a like bloated little toad man. And he is his apartment for some reason somehow got like reversed, so he actually walks on the ceiling. Everyone else's like condos, they're the right way up.
But I have 2 top floor apartments.
I love it.
But 2 top floors. That's so funny.
He is the Moist. He is
Do the voice, Colin.
so good at baking, and he loves to bring his confectionery goods over, and like he really, really wants to be your friend. And Marcy is
You gotta
yelling
do the
and-
voice.
Oh, hey there, Kissura. I made you some really good cannolis. They were starting out as like some
I am in love with this.
cupcakes, but they really got a hand now. They're cannolis.
Who could ever like leave that
No, he
condo with such pleasant company?
He constantly sounds like he can't talk and breathe at the same time.
He can't. He is physically very wrong, but he soldiers on. So yeah, you don't get like the banging of people walking on your floor. You just get this soft like flapping sound of his fat moist feet slapping on the ground.
All right. And I don't know how to score that positive or negative. It's so good, but so bad.
So good.
And then Josh, who lives above him?
So I think there is this like botanist who is actually just like a radish.
Yeah.
But they grow like meaty parts. Like they plant, they like take care of, but instead of it being like fruits or it's like foliage, it's just like meaty parts. So it'd be like a bone or a finger or like an eye stalk.
Yeah.
Gross. I love it.
Do they like
That's
sell
fun.
these parts to people who need them, or is it?
I
Or
think that's
maybe maybe even has something to do with like the flesh stealer
Okay,
stuff.
yeah.
like growing flesh.
Ooh, yeah, maybe. I like all of those.
All right. And now,
If you could grow flesh to be taken, that's an easy way to pay rent.
Yeah, right. There you go. That's how they pay their rent. is
so
Yeah.
here's a question. So should Kissura go out? And I'd like to hear someone else make a suggestion as well. Where would Kissura's favorite place to eat lunch be? And then what would make it unique? For example, in the other game, we had a place called Bar Cafe. In the daytime, it was known as Bar, and it was a wide bar. And then at night, it would transform into a different building called the Cafe, which is where other people would go. But I'm curious where Kissura goes for lunch nearby.
Are you asking me or letting someone else do it? I'd rather someone else for
can.
me.
Well, they're supposed to. And
Sure.
then
Okay, good.
Yeah. So let's talk about it then. I
Yeah.
think the place that's nearby is
I'm vegan.
perfect. Then you'll love this place
it's all magic anyways.
because it is a vegan place. Duh. Why else would you go anywhere else? Yeah. So it's this like vegan poke bowl sort of spot.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it's a lot of. I mean, it's like sure they have like fake meat and stuff like that, tempeh stuff like that. But
Are
yeah,
emotions vegan?
Well, here's something to remember. No,
no,
Certain ones are.
no.
Okay.
nothing here is meat or vegetable that you eat. It is all made through magic. It has the appearance and semblance of vegetables and meat.
Oh, yeah.
But this is all magical food. So you're like a magitarian.
Yeah.
So,
okay.
uh,
Yeah. No. That's it. No, I am a vegetarian. That's exactly. I will never eat mundane food.
There it is.
I
That's
have
so
an
much better.
idea
Thank you
to
all.
make this place just a little weirder. It is called the landing zone because as soon as you step through the door, you start falling, and you fall through the whole meal, and like your waiter falls down to you and like serves you, and then
I
like
want to go there.
like keeps so like it's a combination of like indoor like parrot jumping
Yeah, like skydiving. Yeah.
and like a poke bowl place
That's
at the
like
same
really
time.
millennial, like a meal as an experience.
Yeah, and the
love it.
experience is always falling.
It's like in Thor 3 and Loki. I have been falling for
We're at
half an
half
hour.
an hour. Yeah, so good. I love it. Yeah. So it's like that's so funny. Do you sit at tables? Or do you just
You
are
can
just
try. Like
you're just sort of like
there are tables falling with you, and so
you
like
have to
some
like
people,
reach out and grab a table and like grab a chair maybe and like try and hold on.
you can tell regulars by how comfortable they are
Yeah, there you
sitting
go.
on a
That's
free falling
funny.
chair.
There you go. Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
I
This is
have
good.
a problem.
I figure because like Kissura is all about variety, right? And so that's like an infinite variety of ways to eat while falling.
I love it.
Is it an
Right.
expensive, like posh place you go sometimes, like as a treat, or is it you go often?
This is her favorite place to eat lunch, as I described
eat
it. But
lunch,
she ought to,
yeah.
Yeah.
gets to
Lunch
describe.
place.
I think they're like a place that wants to be a franchise, so they're like trying to like get the format down perfectly before they expand.
Another
What if
failed
they have
franchise.
like unique specials as well, like something that's like you fall like sideways or like in a weird angle.
And they like pour
Perpetually.
food down your gullet sometimes. Like
Shut
But instead of
yeah.
like how spicy do you want it, it's like how fast do you want it?
Just bazooka right
It's so
in front
good.
of her face.
so Ratch
I
once
eat-
ate there and vomited upwards.
Oh,
I always eat at the fastest.
All right. I need one other place of interest nearby.
Y'all are so great, by the way. This is wonderful.
I have a issue or problem in the neighborhood if we need more of those.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Go ahead and give that to us now, because we can always add more places of interest. We have lots of those, and we only need 1 to 3. So let's go to local problems, issues, and rumors.
I was thinking there is a group of carolers who all look like identical little girls, like identical, and they're
Oh.
actually demons of the dark. And what they do is they have these carol books that they read out of, but instead of reading out, they like suck sounds in, and those get recorded in the books.
Oh my.
So a
Dude.
joy.
I am 100% down with it.
Is that like what they do? They always
joy
do
is what
that?
I'm hearing.
Yeah. Do they always do that, or is it like they flip on you? Like they're
You
caroler,
see them.
fun singing, and then
They're
it flips.
called
and
the
they're-
carolers. They don't actually sing. They anti-sing,
Got it.
and
Got it.
you
So-
see them
so
once in
they're
a while.
known.
They're here and there
Okay.
as one like mass, like one group of identical little girls
Yeah.
whose
Oh.
eyes are like flat.
All right.
Yeah.
I love
So-
it.
Yeah. People probably stay out of their way then, or not, or I don't know.
What I love about this is some other players may have run into them and not realized it because I described like a chorus of little girls that ran into a party and maybe they sucked all the sounds out of the party members of their secrets and they're bringing them to the flesh takers. Ha!
And
I
the
love
interesting is, they have a lot of interesting stuff written in their choral books because they've sucked all this.
Yeah.
So.
And I'm sure they have that wolf saying a couple of times in there. And they're like, man, reruns. What is another local problem, issue, or a rumor? Anyone can answer. And this is actually the final one.
Let's make it good.
Maybe there is a rumor that there is I don't know, like some group that like wants to like have Fartown be sort of slotted into Saturnine somehow. I'm not sure. I'm just sort of pitching at this point.
I think it's interesting. We've talked a lot about historical stuff, and the most salient thing in Saturn's recent history is the war.
Yeah.
So there might be something interesting with Fartown's connection to the war, our neighborhood's connection to the war. Many Vislae left to Shadow, right?
Yeah.
What if the neighborhood did too?
Well, that's
Like,
The
interesting.
entire
Like,
neighborhood
what if-
left and came back.
Yeah, the neighborhood has only recently returned to Saturnine as well. Or like it somehow removed itself from the war, and that's not like something that everyone's proud of, because it means that like
The
not only
neighborhood was
did
an
many of the-
isolationist. It's been labeled it's rumored to be an isolationist neighborhood.
There it is.
And it's very different.
And like it'd be really cool if that tied into like that store that sold like stuff from the Shadow. It was selling stuff from that neighborhood.
no.
Yeah.
As
there
long as
you
it doesn't drive up
go.
rent, I'm cool with it.
There you go. Yeah, it sounds like you chose this neighborhood because the rent is quite low.
Yeah.
Maybe
yeah,
there's a
either
problem
low or
that
fleshy.
people who live there have like they get pulled into Shadow a little more often. Because of
Yeah.
its connection.
It's not a nice neighborhood. It's a cheap neighborhood.
Yeah, because of that.
Very clear.
We've officially codified a reason for us to skip sessions. Thank you, Sharon.
Yeah.
No, I gotta go back to
The
Shadow.
whole neighborhood got pulled in, guys.
Yeah.
I love it. That's actually really good.
I was just in a porta potty, and then I don't know. I stepped out.
Oh.
And then I was in another porta potty.
Another porta potty.
So
Porta potties all the way down.
my next question is, Eric,
Yeah.
who are you proud of and want to give a wicked key to?
You know, I can only give one.
Yeah.
This is the problem. Well, I'm gonna have to do it this way. Colin, how many keys do you have?
I have one, so
Ken, how many keys do you have?
0.
I'm giving it to you, Ken, because you're the first one with the wolf. Yeah,
Thank
for sure.
you.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
And now we are
As well
going
as the
to
magical
establish now we're going to establish our character bonds and how our characters know each other. So we have Ratch, Gnarla, Fantacklien, Kissura, and Farrington. And let's start talking about how and why they know each other and work together. And there's all sorts of reasons why they might do it. They might be close friends. They might be fated companions. They might have been friends before the war. They might be lovers. They might be relatives. There could be they could be literal soulmates, which means something a little different here in the actuality. there's all, or there might be an unrequited bond. You know, it might be one is subservient to the other. There's all different reasons for them to be connected. So let's talk about here's how we're going to start it. I'd like Colin to tell me one other player you have a bond with, and I'd like that player to tell me what the bond is. And then I'd like you to tell me the relationship. So if you say, I have a relationship with Kissura, and she says, well, it's a student-mentor relationship, you in turn will then decide who the mentor and the student is.
Okay, I was going to pick Eric anyway. So, I think Farrington has a connection with Kissura.
Okay. And then I have to pick what kind of relationship it is.
Yep.
What are my options? Or is it not like a limited categorical thing, or is it like really just entirely qualitative?
There's suggestions, right, that come from the book that have actual mechanical benefits and drawbacks.
Sure. Can you give me a quick little like 101 of those? If you don't, sorry, I should have.
I was going to say that beyond the one I just gave. No. So here's how we do it.
Just read that.
If you have a copy of the unfortunate thing is it's not in a nice list. It's spread out over like 20 pages. So here's if you have a copy of the key, you can go to page 200, and here are a few. So close friends, fellow students, housemates, a mystic bond, rivals, and shadow friends, and stewardship.
What does stewardship mean in this case? One person like runs the books of another person?
Well, one character watches over and protects the other.
I think we're just friends, Farrington. Like genuine friends.
It would be close friends. So the bond is stronger than say acquaintances.
Right.
Like.
Oh yeah. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to imply that we're not close friends. I think we are just good friends.
All right.
I think what is the source? Well, maybe this is too far, but like, what is the source of our friendship? Like, where did we? Is it over music? Is it over something that you like that?
I think it's generally.
What are you into? I'm also into it. Let me put it that way.
My
I don't care what it is.
Very invested in literature and poems and poetry.
I love poetry.
Right.
Done. Okay.
And I think like my character like gets annoyed at how inconvenient your flightiness is. But like that doesn't wipe out the fact that you have this love of poetry, and Farrington is someone who desperately is like needs someone to like ground him. Otherwise he gets very cold, repressed, emotionally not there person. So I think that having someone who's like vivacious and also into poetry is something that he recognizes. I think that's something that they need.
And I'm adding. I was gonna say just by way of logistics, I'm adding the bonds and what they are and kind of the mechanical explanations to the Google Doc that I'll share with you guys. So
love it.
You can always reference it.
Does Kissura take Farrington to readings, to poetry readings? Is that one of the only ways that Farrington actually leaves the home?
Farrington doesn't usually like to go out. Likes to invite people in because then they're in control and it's their environment and they feel comfortable. But
so I am the person who randomly has an extra ticket to an elite poetry reading.
Yep.
Lying around, and I take you to it because I know how much you love the Transcendentalists.
Yep. Yeah.
Exactly. Which I guess Transcendentalism has a really different meaning.
In the actuality. So, Ratch, who do you have a relationship with? A bond?
I have a relationship with Gnarla.
Gnarla, what type of relationship do you have?
Despair.
Despair.
Sorry.
With Ratch, oh man, I think that Ratch and I are fuck it. I think Ratch and I are lovers. I am super into Ratch's tentacles. Like Like, I am into the tentacles.
You're just ahead.
So
I love it.
Well, I can do a lot of stuff. Magic is magic, boys. I can do a lot of stuff. But, we don't know what Gnarla can do.
My question for Sharong, do you consent to being in a lover relationship? Because that's the only...
Oh, for me or for Ratch?
Well, you're Ratch. Does Ratch consent?
That's different. Like, I will consent to being in a lover relationship with Ken's character. That's fine. I would say Ratch is not super... Like, Ratch likes Gnarla a lot, but Ratch is kind of... This is going to be very unusual for any character I play. Ratch is kind of asexual.
Yeah,
that is very unusual for any character you play, Sharong.
Or at least, I mean, Sharong views sexuality as like pretty changing over your life, right? So at the moment, or for a long time, Ratch has been kind of asexual. So he enjoys Gnarla a lot and like likes Gnarla a lot, but doesn't really feel the like lover.
I love it.
Goes along with being in a relationship with.
So let's say past lovers, pre-war lovers, pre-shadow lovers.
Oh, I like that. Yeah,
we have
your
a very
exes.
Strong connection that we shared this experience in the past together, and we've come to love each other and to just really be connected.
Yeah.
But that we are not a couple, we are not lovers any longer, but we have had those experiences together in the past.
So I view this as, so Ratch is kind of nervous and shy, but I think with Gnarla, like Gnarla is one of the only people Ratch can be like open with.
Yeah.
And like I can imagine like Ratch is very like to himself normally, but if he's at Gnarla's place, he can be like sprawled on the couch and feel comfortable.
Exactly. I think that they share secrets. I think that's a big thing. Gnarla uses Ratch, sees Ratch as a confidant. I mean, Gnarla is basically fighting a shadow war against some group. Like, that's Gnarla's whole thing, is like being sort of this like secret, basically, like I don't know, spy. And so I think, in terms of like talking about that stuff, as well as getting ideas in terms of equipment and magic, I think that's a big part.
I like that.
Also, there's this very interesting connection maybe in that while they were in Shadow, Gnarla was being experimented on by scientists and Ratch was a scientist. And so there's this very sort of interesting sort of connection there.
I like it.
Of sort of a two different views of science, as it were.
Yeah.
So it's a place where we sort of butt heads or have disagreements sometimes.
All right. I dig
All right,
it.
cool.
And so my question for Josh is, Josh, who does Fantacklien have a bond with? And then we're going to come back to Ken to establish it with someone else in the party.
So after Sharingan like describe what Ratch's whole like growing and kind of like evolving and like identity and things like that, that's kind of Fantacklien's like whole thing. There's like this the mystery between what we kind of hold concepts to and how that changes and morphs. And so I think we probably are friends, I would say. I'm looking over the list. Yeah, I'm looking over the list now. So I think I think close friends works. That works with you.
You and Ratch?
Yeah, me and Ratch.
All right. I got that. And kind of tailing right along into this. So mechanically, I'm going to copy and paste what that means. And just so everyone knows, there's benefits and drawbacks to having bonds with people. A benefit might be that you share connections and groups of powers, or you're able to, you're able to draw upon each other for strength. A drawback might be that if one of your friends is imperiled, you might lose an action in fear. I was actually worried that you're going to say, kind of like Ratch, I thought it was going to be like, we're all Gnarla's ex-lovers. every character is one of Gnarla's ex-lovers. 16 tentacles.
Not wrong.
Seduction is a big part of spying, y'all.
That's the rumor.
Wait, can you remind me what Fantacklien looks like? Sure.
Yeah, so I never mentioned. So Fantacklien generally looks very androgynous, but they have mostly like bandages over themselves, and they always wear like a porcelain kind of theater mask. That's always interchangeable between like happy and sad.
Okay. And I would like to think, how did we become friends?
So I think because most of my art focuses on just like shifting and changing in identities. I think when I was like selling pieces, maybe you came across one of them and was really interested in, or maybe you were discussing or like having an argument with someone about it, and I had overheard. And I kind of chimed in.
I like this idea that I liked one of your pieces a lot because one of my vomits fell in love with one of your art pieces.
The
Nice.
creature was like,
Oh.
I love it.
Perfect.
I mean, it's no
Functional,
banana
yeah.
slug, but
I like it.
And so now, Ken, go ahead and give us a second connection for Gnarla with a different character.
Sure. Yeah, that sounds great. I think that the connection, the next one is going to, I think that it's going to, I want it to be with, I think with Kissura, I think. But what would our relationship be, Eric?
Am I under investigation from you?
Yes.
Mm.
Yes, that's exactly what's happening, is that I've basically targeted you as someone that I want to get information from, specifically because of my thought that you might be a flesh taker.
I'm gonna so as far as mechanically in that, and there might be a better thing that I can change it with later,
Sounds
is
like- Mhm.
I'm either gonna put fated companions or rivals.
Yeah.
I like fated companions, if that's
Me too.
if that's better.
Yes, you keep crossing paths. It feels
Mhm.
better.
And because of that, there's something about I'm under investigation. I love that.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Yeah,
That's
I mentioned it privately, but I should say it publicly because, like, I really, really love the dichotomy that between Gnarla and me, because Gnarla is like super spy, and it's like still about the war and the conflicts and everything.
Yeah.
And I am like,
yeah.
and I'm like arrogantly not. Like I am. This is beyond me. This is below. I just want to create. It doesn't affect me in any way.
Yeah.
Like I'm like the Shire.
totally,
you know?
totally.
I love it.
All
That's
right.
perfect.
So, with that, are there any other bonds that anyone wants to establish? We have a pretty good amount
James.
to start. What's that?
I want to establish James Bond.
I was gonna say I'd like Farrington and Fantacklien to also have a bond.
Okay.
Ratch, if you'd like to introduce another one as well, but I'm just looking at people that have less bonds than everyone else.
Yeah, if I can suggest something, Farrington is not an outgoing person, but they have made a specific effort to reach out to Fantacklien because they want to recruit them. I mentioned Farrington is the Barthesian that used to be a sort of intellectual salon of Vislae, in the same way that weavers study the aggregates of spells in order to understand magic as a whole, so too did the Barthesians try to look at magic generally to understand the legacy spell of the universe. And so trying to talk to a weaver about that is something that he is interested in. I'm sorry, they.
That also fits with my warp in time and space as well.
Yeah.
I was
Oh,
gonna
I
say.
also forgot. Fantacklien and I are both weavers, so that also makes our
Mhm.
friendship stronger.
Yes.
Oh, nice.
It's and it's interesting too because weavers don't always get to hang around each other because they're in separate cells. So the fact that you two know each other and have a relationship is also quite special. And Farrington is a Vance, correct?
Yes. Farrington
Vance
is
dealing
a
with
very
weavers.
Vancey
You
Vance.
rebel, you rebel, you. So now we move to a phase of the game called the Desideratum, which is where we decide how we actually want to start our narrative. And the way this is codified in the rules is there is, I believe, 6 choices that you are given. And this is essentially your character's initial goal and how your story begins. So I'm going to give you the options. I'm going to write them in Zoom. If I was really good at this, I'd bring this up on screen. But either the group is looking to obtain money, the group is looking to obtain power, the group is looking to obtain information, allies, travel somewhere, or a form of altruism. And if to give a quick explanation of some of these, if you need money, you need money to achieve a scheme, a caper of some sort that you're looking to pull off. In our playtest, the group was attempting to send the illustrated Messiah to the Pale, and they needed to steal a ritual from a group and perform the ritual to send her there. If you're interested in power, in order to achieve your goals, you must become far more powerful in magic than you are now. Information, you're maybe looking for answers, ideas, or knowledge to start the story. And right now we're not looking at details, we're looking at more the controlling idea. Allies, you need to gather assistance from others in the neighborhood or the surrounding areas of Saturine. Travel, you need to get someplace else. You're taking the ring to Mordor. An altruism, you're attempting to help somebody else. So talk about it as a group. I'm going to step away for about a minute, and then when I come back, I'd like you to tell. This is what I did with the other group too, because I don't want to influence what you decide.
Okay.
So
I really like the historical society. I'd love somehow for them to be involved.
On a meta level, how can we make Grant mad?
Right.
I'm just kidding.
I agree. I think I'm thinking about it in terms of the historical society, but either power or allies. I think there's this idea that this old neighborhood is sort of falling apart, not just sort of physically, but also like socially. Like it's no longer unified, and maybe all of our characters have some investment in getting a little more unity to this neighborhood. And the question is, like, how are we going to get allies? Like, are we going to collect everyone under our wings, or do we need power or information to do that? That was my thought.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
So
yeah, go for it, Eric.
Here's something I've read, a little expression somewhere that I thought was kind of interesting, because I'm digging allies, but here's something that came up that I wanted to share. This is obviously a broad speaking thing, but people with high school, like if someone's fed up, people with a high school education form unions. People with a technical education form political parties. People with college education form revolutions. Where do we fall in wanting to enact change?
Well, we're all Vislae, and except our apostate, that means we're educated in some way through a institution. Well, no, the Weavers are not. The Weavers have their own cells, but we have a Vance. And Eric, what do you? I forget what.
I'm a maker.
So yeah, you and Farrington are highly educated.
Yeah.
What?
Oh, and Farrington, that is like their thing. My character is a love letter to a professor I had in my master's program, and like I'm going to be playing an absolutely insufferably stressed out academic constantly.
Cool. Well, I like
for
allies. Allies sound
Allies.
good to me.
I was going to say, someone call for a stressed out academic. I'm here.
Yeah. So allies.
That sounds like a good one.
So maybe we're trying to maybe rehabilitate the historical society to do its job and protect the neighborhood.
Totally.
We have to. It's unremarkable right now, and we need it to be remarkable.
All right. I don't know if this makes me an iconoclast, because maybe we should talk about it. But like, I would absolutely love to find the sort of path and decision to like really go hard into the historical society and rally it and make it a super powerful force, to the point where you might like, I'm probably too strong of a fringe group of how much like I care about it.
I love that. Like that's where I'm at with it too. Like Allies for Gnarla is about finding other people to help do the thing that they want to do.
So you
And I kind of care about this because I want them to get rid of the slugs.
Yeah.
These slugs are non-historical. These are non-indigenous slugs.
Neighbors. You just hate your neighbors. Jesus.
I like being left alone.
I think Fantacklien
That's enough.
Yeah.
Fantacklien is interesting is because the more he gets to interact with other people and other ideas, and the more they get to kind of study and create and tap into. So they're definitely into broadening their horizon.
So it sounds like, are you deciding as a group for your Desideratum to pursue allies?
Yeah.
Like
Yes.
Yeah.
Cool.
Mhm.
So, gents and friends, we've just finished our first session of Invisible Sun.
All
where
right.
Define some aspects of our character. Now, there are a couple other steps, like you get your ephemera, which are kind of like ciphers from Cipher System. There's a few variances. I always set those up and send an image of all of them together to the group. And on Twitter, in your DM, or on Discord, you can talk about the ones you want. If you have a copy of the game, like Colin and Sharong, you can kind of look at some of the cards, following the guidelines in the key, to help determine maybe you want to pick 3 that you find very interesting and flavorful. But that is the start of the game. So I'm going to throw it back to Eric, who runs this channel, to kind of close us out. And maybe we go around, give some outros, and then Eric's like, I don't even know what day it is, Grant. Just hit stop. No, but I'm going to throw it to Eric, who I put him in the little red frame because he is the rose of this session. Everyone else is a green.
Oh, hey, thank you, Grant. Thank you so much for running this this first game. I'm so excited about this, and I'm not gonna lie, I was extremely like apprehensive at the start because I'm like, I don't understand surrealism, and this game is very complicated at first glance. But after just sitting down and talking, if no one knows who I am, like I'm no stranger to new games, so like I know to just dive in and I'll be fine. And I trust Grant, and hopefully Grant trusts me the same way when I put him through the same rigmarole.
I don't trust myself.
So like, I'm so glad I took this plunge. It is so cool. I'm sure you just watched me periodically just like be slumped in my chair and then come out and be like, oh my God, there's this thing. And then I go back and be like, oh, what is the other thing? And like, yeah, so I'm just sitting here digesting, thinking about it, and then coming back with some stuff. This is so awesome, everybody. Seriously. I'm so excited to see where this game goes now. Oh my God. I'm just like, my face hurts from smiling and being excited. So yeah, I guess I should do some outros before. Do I throw it back to you? Grant?
Yeah, you can throw it to me. So,
okay, sure.
So hi,
and I'm
guys.
Eric Vulgaris everywhere.
I'm Grant Ellis. I'm an independent content creator for tabletop role-playing games, primarily 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons and Cipher System. I'm currently running 4 Invisible Sun games across 4 different channels, and all the narratives kind of interweave. For example, Fantacklien will guest star on WebDM next Wednesday, meeting another Weaver for coffee. I have a Patreon. The URL is at the bottom. It pays for all this production. Essentially, we give back to the players. We have an emergency player relief fund. We have artist costs that we look to pay for. I know Sharong's referenced some excellent artists whose artwork would really fit well with this campaign specifically. So I got to raise enough funds to commission artwork for our characters to get done. But you can find me online on Twitter at WisePapaGrant, on Twitch Grant R. Ellis. I'm the producer for WebDM, so technically I'm WebDM Grant, which they're a lot of fun to play with. And that's all for me. Let's throw it to Colin.
Hi, I'm Colin Volcanet. I am one half of the Phantom Roll Booth. The other half is Marcy Villan, who is been blowing up the chat in delightful ways. We run regular one-shots most Saturdays, and now we're also doing Sundays as well. I have a Star Wars show I do called Ballad of the Garbage People, which is like Firefly meets Garbage People. And we generally just like to play games with new faces. We love getting new people on the show who've never been on before. So anyone in chat, if I have not talked to you, message me, get on one of our shows. We will be glad to have you. And you can reach me at calling it like I see.
And Sharang.
I'm Sharang Biswas. I'm an artist, writer, and game designer. And I do all kinds of things upcoming. If you check my Twitter, which is at Sharang Biswas, I post about the stuff. My website's also there. You can go to my website. I have a couple of games on itch linked to my website you can download, including the one Grant kindly mentioned called Feast. It's about food. I'm very food centric. That's why vomiting. And upcoming thing that's coming up, I'm a guest at GauntletCon, which is an entirely online role-playing game convention. I will be running a game of Blades in the Dark on a Saturday morning from Toledo, Ohio, along with a wonderful professor of art education, Jason Cox, for co-DMing. And on the Sunday, immediately after I land in New York, I'm going to be on a panel on running horror games. So check that out and support Gauntlet because they are cool.
Very cool.
And Ken.
Sweet. Thank you, Grant, so much for running this. Thank you, Eric, for pumping it out through your awesome channel. Thank you to my fellow players. This has been amazing. I'm Ken. I'm at Burling's Beard. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at my own website. I'm a for-hire dungeon master in the New York City area. I'm also an independent content creator for D&D. Sharang and I are actually collaborating on a project right now with two other amazing people called the Adventure Mixtape, which will be coming out just in a few weeks in October.
And that's a lot of things together, right?
Yeah, Adventure Mixtape is awesome. It's 4 one-shot D&D adventures. We're also having music written for each of the adventures, so you'll get all that as part of the product. I'm also a guest at GauntletCon, oddly enough, and I will be running some things at that online con, which I'm really looking forward to, specifically the adventure I'm writing for the Adventure Mixtape. So if you do want to try that adventure that I wrote with me, the creator, you should totally sign up for it. Other than that, check out my podcast called Board Ghost, where we play diceless, DM-less role-playing games, storytelling games. It's a storytelling podcast. So if you're into games like Dialect or Fiasco is one that we have not played in a while, but is very well known. Skeletons is another one we play. Check out my podcast. And again, thanks for having me on. I am so excited to be a part of this.
And Pro Restarter. Long day for
Hey, yeah, with a fun one. Thank you for bringing me into this lovely group. These talented people, super awesome for running it and hosting it as well. Eric, all great. I am Pro Restarter. I am just an aspiring content creator and Twitch streamer. I do a slew of stuff throughout the week, running more games and DMing and RPing new stuff. Next week, my schedule will be posted on my Twitter at Pro Restarter. You can catch me there. Great, I love it.
And that's all we've got. And we look forward to playing again next week as we begin our narrative. I take all the notes that we generated in this session, and we use those to start building a story. It's a player-driven campaign. Which is going to be a lot of fun. So thank you all so much and have an excellent evening. Goodbye.
Thank you. See you next week. Bye.